welcome to Low Bow Spark. This is about you. Uh, so, Mandy, I ask one question and one question only, actually, on this. I will interject here and there, but this is about your journey, your story. And my only question is, what is your journey with either ADHD or mental health? What is your journey? You can start wherever you'd like and say whatever you want and curse or whatever. It does not matter to me. So glad to have you here,
Um,
Mandy.
so, um, I think I'm still figuring it out, to be honest.
Yes.
I've been thinking, I mean, I think about that all the time, and like especially with the podcast, like I wanted to jot down some notes, like what do I want to talk about, but it's kind of hard. Um,
It's very difficult to jot down things, especially for me. I can't do that. So don't worry about that. Like
well,
you want to be prepared at all this, but my disorder is I don't want to be prepared. It's more exciting to just get to know somebody and hear their story than to actually, prepare and all that kind of stuff. I that's just me. So
yeah, true. I mean, I I did, yeah, I didn't take any notes, to be honest. I
good.
kind of wanted to, but
It's literally, where did your mental health, I guess, when you recognized maybe there was a disorder or maybe not, or like, how do you explain your mental health through a story or anything like that? And that's, oh no, you're totally cool. Was that Mario Brothers, by the way? The
yes, I can't
yeah.
believe you
Oh my God.
guys.
I used to play that game all the time. I love you immediately.
Yeah. I'm a little bit of a gamer. I play some games, I'm not super into it, but I
Right,
play some games. I
right.
want to say my childhood was rough, but like I did feel I had um moments then that like I had times that were really rough. I don't um and like of course now I realize a lot more looking back. My parents were trying their best. They were doing their best with
Right.
the knowledge that they had. And they've grown a lot since then too. So, I'm grateful. I'm really grateful for them, and I like love, you know,
I
all that. But I um I definitely had ADHD in school growing up, but I never was diagnosed. My parents did fight for it, but of course at the time, like I can't just like consent. They wanted my teachers to do that. And I guess they didn't really understand, or maybe even at the time I didn't understand the pertinence of it or whatever, either, or how to explain it, you know but so for whatever reason they like marked me passing, and
I
I've
wish I
always
had that.
questioned that. I don't
I wish I had
like
that.
because, well, um not like they marked that I didn't have it, like I didn't
Right.
have these behaviors, which is so weird because I was in high school by this time. And I remember falling asleep in their classes, drawing on my desk and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like while they were supposed to be marking, even during the days that they're supposed to be doing that.
Yeah.
So I've always questioned that. I don't know, but
Can I go back to your parents' situation
yeah,
for one? So, are your parents still together? Um, like,
yes,
okay, that's a
mm-hmm.
massive thing. I have two parents that are still together, and they didn't understand it really either, but they got me to that doctor so fast. while they didn't understand it, they knew something was off. And
Hmm.
most, I would say 90% of the people I speak with that are struggling so bad, their parents split up.
Huh.
It's fascinating, actually. You're not alone, Amanda. There are pretty much actually every single person I've spoken with has childhood trauma that has ADHD. Every single one.
Mhm.
And that's,
I think we all experience trauma, you know? I
yeah,
mean, just witnessing something happen to another person, that is defines
yeah,
trauma. So,
I agree.
I've been through a lot of therapy as well, which that is a very major, like, that's been everything in my life. That's
Did it help?
like, sorry.
Did therapy help?
Yes.
It did.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
absolutely. It's done everything for me. I've been to different types of therapy. Um, Going back to my childhood,
Yeah, and we're
I
back. Yeah,
yeah, sorry. I started to self-harm, you know. But I was only ever like just diagnosed with like depression.
right.
Um, so still not really ADHD or BPD. But you know, I was like kind of in and out of therapy in different times. I was Baker acted in high school. Um,
Wow.
and then, but it wasn't until I actually graduated high school a year early. I hated school. I hated school. I didn't want to do, I wanted to get out of there. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. Like I had no idea. Um, and I went to college for a little bit and I was like, well, what am I doing? What do I want to do? I went to EMT school. I knew
Oh,
I
that is
like
cool.
was like, I kind of knew I needed something that was like, I had always known I didn't want to do just like a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, or
Right.
like
Yeah.
do this or that. You know, I wanted to be flexible with my schedule. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, you know, and have more time to myself.
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
I was like, being an EMT would be exciting, and I wanted to be a firefighter. I went through fire school. I did not finish. I realized it wasn't for me, which is something they tell you and drill into you from the beginning. But I worked as an EMT through that. And that was when I got diagnosed with ADHD. I was,
Okay.
for the first time, fell in love with school. I liked learning. It came to me naturally. Like I liked studying. I liked, you know, I enjoyed what I was learning. But I struggled so bad at the test. I was getting such terrible testing
Yeah.
anxiety. I would sometimes even throw up before the test. And
Good Lord.
3 fails on a test, and you're out. There was a test every class, 100-question test. And in a 79 was a fail. Less than a B was a fail.
Jesus.
So because you have to be good at what you're doing,
Right.
you can't question things when you're
Yeah.
out in the field. Um, and so I didn't do good. My teacher suggested, I think you should try again, get tested for ADHD, because that's kind of what it seems like, and that's exactly what happened to me. I went to my doctor and he tested me, and he told me I marked almost every question. Like
Right.
almost every question was like, you know,
Yeah.
or I marked like every, um,
You checked every box.
yeah. So, yeah, but that was still, I struggled a lot with my emotions and with my relationships. I would lash out. I would self-harm. I would have like suicide attempts um, on a regular basis. I was in a relationship and we fought and fought and fought and fought. I was not good with relationships, and I got back into therapy. And I was seeing this one therapist for a while, and eventually she said, that sounds a lot like borderline personality disorder. And
Um,
she said, I can't actually, I'm not a clinical psychologist, but
yeah,
I can direct you as to where to get actually diagnosed, how to help with that. And she said, but I can read to you right now, the descriptions, and you can tell me if that sounds like you. There's 9 criteria, and I had all 9. And um it was like kind of a relief, because
yeah,
I was like, oh my God, like, oh my God. It made sense.
yeah.
I've also, seen psychiatrists and been on medications as well.
Right,
So I think I very much recognize that, like, um so I've taken like I've taken the ADHD meds, and I've taken different depression and mood disorder
right.
medications, all of that, but I very much recognize that, like, it's not one thing fits all. Some
Yes,
people,
yes. Okay, Amanda, that is the key to all of this. Is the
yeah,
issue with mental
just
health.
because
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I take sorry.
Oh, no, we're both saying sorry because we interrupt each other, but that's ADHD. The only thing I was going to say,
Yes.
yeah, so it's totally fine. Trust me. But
uh,
the only thing I would say is unless you get to know the individual person with ADHD, you can't have a shot in hell of helping them. You have to get to know the person first and the disorder second, or you
a
can't do
big
shit.
thing that I learned later on in my journey, actually, too, is like, I feel like the labels don't really matter.
No,
It's
they
not
don't.
just like, oh, I have ADHD, and like, or I have BPD, or I have bipolar, or I, whatever it is, it doesn't mean it's not all gonna look the same. You can just manage the symptoms,
God, you're
manage
smart.
the symptoms as they come. And um,
Jesus, you are smart.
so,
I
and
just
it still took me a while to learn that. I kept seeing that one therapist. Eventually, my relationship, he broke up with me. It came to
right.
a disaster, and um and I started to do a lot better. I was starting to do a lot better, and I I was back in school. I was working, and around the time that I realized, firefighting is not for me,
Right.
um I, like, shortly after that, I was questioning everything. I started feeling like I wasn't myself. I just kind of started feeling just, weird. I was, um, I had gotten in a new relationship, and I was still doing well mentally, but just kind of feeling weird. And it was around COVID too. Um, and I started having, I was having, I don't know what you want to call it, but like,
Panic attacks,
you know,
anxiety,
panic attacks
all
and,
those
or
things. Right, right.
yeah, symptoms. And, I, really, really struggled. It was probably my lowest time ever. Um, I couldn't eat. I couldn't like I just felt yeah, everything was so hard. It's not even just that I felt sad, but I
Yeah,
just felt so much and I just couldn't take care of myself. I couldn't shower, I couldn't eat. Like I would go to work, I would
yeah.
come home, I would sleep, and then I would go to work again. Like
Terrible. Yeah.
and
Ugh.
I luckily had a good support system at the time. My boyfriend, who is now my husband,
Congrats. Congrats.
thank
That's
you, you. And my mom, my sister, my friends, they were really, still helpful during this time. And
oh,
sorry,
oh no, you're fine.
come on,
The amount.
this is Miss Moo.
I'm sorry. What's her name?
Moo,
Moo. Okay. Hey, Moo. Are you a cow? Cat? Is that the?
he sure is.
Oh, the amount of people that bring their cats on the show is incredible. Like every single ADHD person has a cat, except me.
Yeah.
Except me, for some reason.
Yeah, I have two kitties. I have two kitties. And
Oh,
just I had a dog just recently. She passed away about a month ago.
oh,
So that's been kind
that's
of hard.
the hardest thing you'll ever go through is losing a dog. I
She
relate to
was my
that so much.
like you know, not my first pet, but like my first
Right.
dog that
Yeah.
so that was really hard. It's been maybe about a month and a half or so.
I'm so sorry,
Um
Amanda, that happened. I can't stay like that stuff. It's dogs
uh,
are get what
yeah,
what was your dog's name?
Mika.
Mika. My dog's name was
That
Gator. So
that was her name when I adopted her, but and I just didn't want to change it.
right.
Um So yeah, that was really hard because she helped me. I feel like she also played a big part in, my life and
Yeah.
continuing to go on.
Right.
Um, because sometimes she was the only reason I would go outside. Um,
Yeah.
and I that was really important to me. That was really hard. But
You are still here.
yeah, yeah.
That's a good
And
thing. That's a great thing
mhm,
because I'm enjoying talking to you about this, and I'll tie this up in a little bit. But I know that the dog issue, like that's the one that cuts to me the most. It is like there was this dog Gator that I had, and honestly, after that dog had passed away, I was like, I'm refusing any other dogs from here on out because I didn't want to go through that pain again because it was almost like a duplicate of me. He was so spastic. He would go chase the ball, sprint down the lake. He would do all these things and just look at you with this look like, hey, come find me, you know? And that's kind of me. I felt such a relationship with that dog that I just refused to entertain another one. And there've been good ones since then. This is 20 years ago. There've been
Yeah.
good ones since then that my parents have had or whatnot, but nothing like Gator.
Ugh,
And
yeah.
in that, yeah, but I always hold him in my heart because I'm like, what would Gator do right now? So it's like, what would Mika do? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that helps. It does help me a
It
lot.
does. It really does actually.
And
When like I said, she was the only reason I would go outside sometimes. And
yeah,
during that time, that was really hard for me. Like I
right,
said, I struggled. And I was lucky to have that support system.
exactly.
Um, and eventually I found DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy,
Okay.
and that has been a godsend in my life.
Can you explain what
That
that is, if you don't mind? I don't know what that is, actually. This is a new thing
so
for me.
um sure, it's my favorite thing in the world.
I love it. I love it.
Um so it so Marsha Linehand, she was kind of the creator of DBT.
Okay.
And it was kind of directed towards BPD and, or other people with mood disorders, stuff like that. People with borderline often we have more of like more intense emotions. Um, Typically, about 20%, you know, will feel things about 20% more than the average person.
Okay.
Um, just even like regular events,
Right.
spilled milk. And so that's where these characteristics come in. The 9 criteria that I talked about,
Right.
like self-harm behaviors,
Yeah.
and disorganized relationships and
Yeah.
attachment style, um, impulsiveness, sometimes rage attacks,
Yeah.
stuff like that,
Yep.
which is some all stuff that I've experienced. The rage, like just unbelievable, like it's unbelievable
It's
the
anger.
intensity of things I would feel and
Yeah.
do, and just out of control.
Yeah.
It was horrible, and it's horrible um for the person too, because we also people with BPD tend to usually recognize this too. Most of the time they
Right.
recognize all of it. They recognize, like, even the aftermath, and how it affects other people, and they feel the guilt super intensely too. And that's where these self-harming
Right.
behaviors and what a lot of people refer to as BPD splits, where you just immediately, we have sometimes what's called a favorite person, and it's a person in a relationship that you have that you start to just idolize. You put them on a pedestal. You
Yeah.
can't see a negative about them. And one day they do happen to do something that hurts you, even if it's not, on
Right.
purpose, at all. And
Lobau Spark is proudly supported by Leo Guinan, Kirk Hofstrom, Casey Elliott, Sarah Delano, Justin Allingham, Blushing Crafter, Jamie Young, and Beth Jones. It is now also supported by 14 anonymous supporters. And I understand that completely. I know I can swear and all that kind of shit. If you want to support it and be anonymous, I get it. I get it. Whether you want to be mentioned by name or remain anonymous, this podcast does not exist without all of you. And I love you.
And that image of that person on the pedestal drops, and you split on them. Suddenly they're this terrible person
It's all or
because
nothing.
they were such a person. All or nothing.
It's
It's
all or
black and
nothing.
white. That's where DBT comes in. Dialectical. That's dialectics. That is, you can have this and have that. They can be a good person, but still might
Wow.
hurt your feelings sometimes.
Yeah, it sounds like ADHD to me. Like they're this great person, but they're going to say fuck you if they disagree because it's an impulse reaction. And then that's harmful to the other person. And that's where, oh my God, I love this. I absolutely love this. This is fascinating. Okay.
I do too. I do too. I think that's why I love DBT and therapy just in general, because I understand, it's not for everybody. Not everyone wants to talk about things. So that's okay,
But you want action.
but
Yeah.
but
So show that book again.
this,
We have the DBT skills training handouts and worksheets. All right, let's do this.
So I have several different books. This one as well.
Okay.
I've recommended these to so many people, specifically the DBT and this one.
Loving someone with B.
Not just because, it'll help if you have BPD or someone you love have BPD, if you have a relationship, but just because BPD, we all experience these things. Not just people with BPD, we all experience these things. We all experience intense emotions sometimes. We all experience
but we can't regulate them. We
overwhelm.
can't regulate them. That's the most people can. We can't.
Or we have and we experience them more frequently, but we all experience depressions and highs and lows and fallbacks and and triggers and traumas, and like we all experience these things, and I like this book just because it talks about the intensity and why people, more specifically people with BPD, but I feel like it's something, stuff like that we can all relate to, and why we all do what we do, just self reflect. And then DBT, this book here, I love this because, like I said, not everyone wants to do talk therapy. But I think, this is something anyone can go through. It explains these processes for you, and and breaks down, these different behaviors, why we do certain things, and why we feel certain things, how to direct our emotions, how to detect and name your emotions. I think sometimes we're so fast to just say, I'm sad, I'm mad, I hate you, I love you, but that it's not just that.
Thank you for bringing those books in, because I'm going to list those in the episode description at the end of this for people.
Please do. Yeah.
But I want to I want to go back to something here, and actually I want to tie this up. We don't have enough time. I couldn't talk to you enough, to be honest. Like this has been fascinating. What I will say though is that I think all of these things, bipolar disorder, those things, autism, ADHD, everything. So I'll tell you, Amanda, that the reason I started this podcast was because my wife's best friend took her own life. And she was all three of these things. But I think that at the core, it's ADHD. And the reason I believe that is because I think ADHD is a separation from knowing what to do and doing it. And if what kind of hell would that be for people? If they know what to do
Yeah.
and they physically can't do it, that allows
Yeah.
depression to come in. That allows all these things to come in that then spawn
Hmm.
a really bad domino effect in the opposite direction. And my thing with that is we have to build our own bridge from knowing what to do to doing it. And for some, it might be those books you showed. For some, for me, it's sports. For some, it's something else. It doesn't matter. But the problem is
Yeah.
this society looks down on like us doing it ourselves. You mentioned schedule. I need to work for myself. I need to make my own schedule. If that's what works for you,
Yeah.
then you have to have the freedom to do it. Or you're just going to get trounced on. And then all of a sudden it's, well, shit, I must be stupid or I must be dumb or I must be this or that and the other. No, no. That couldn't be further from the truth because I think that people with ADHD, like you and me, are the most perceptive human beings on earth. We know what is going to work so much faster than anyone else. But then we see that other side of the bridge and we're like, shit, how do I get over the bridge that doesn't exist
Hmm.
in our brain?
Yeah.
But the thing is, I swear to you, by doing all the things that you're doing, you slowly build that bridge, and then all of a sudden you built it. You built it. No one else
Yes.
built it for
Yeah.
you. So you take a lot
Exactly.
more pride in good driving over that bridge than anyone else does. Everyone else is like, yeah, I just drive over the bridge. You're like, holy shit, that nail. I built that. I did that. That's a
Yes.
massive advantage for people with mental health disorders is that they have to do the work.
That's why I love dialectics. That's why I
Okay.
talk about DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy. That's what dialectics is. It's not just the
I
black and
love
the
it.
white. It's all a spectrum. It's not
Yeah.
just the label of this or that. It's it's a spectrum of emotions. It's a spectrum
Yeah.
of behaviors, spectrum of reactions,
Yeah.
and
100%. 100%.
it's not just the good and the bad, and it's just it is what it is,
Yeah.
it's just
Exactly. The way I view, and I'm sorry to, I get so pumped up when I talk to someone awesome that I interrupt and it's terrible and I'm sorry about that.
no,
But
it's okay.
but the way I feel about emotions and intensity and impulsivity is you're getting that real person. So like if that person responds immediately when provoked, that's their actual emotion. So what do you want us
Yeah.
to do? Do you want us to just, stop, soothe, all of this, and then you get the fake us? Or do you
Yeah.
or do you want it to be the real us? I think we're the most real people in the world. That literally, I
Yeah.
believe that.
I used to, so when I first kind of got diagnosed with BPD, and before finding DBD and DBT and really getting into it, because at first I would kind of, it was on Zoom for a little bit. So I would just kind of log in, like roll out of bed and log into my computer and just
Yeah.
kind of lay in bed and do my meeting. And eventually I got to a point where I could participate and, like it helps before you
Yeah.
even realize it's helping. But anyway, besides the point,
No,
I
you're all good.
like resented it because I'm like, how do you fix this? I don't want to have to. I don't think it's fair that I have these intense emotions, but I'm expected to react to this certain level because that's what everyone else does.
Right.
I'm expected to, you know, put on a smile and fake
Yeah.
it or whatever. And that is soul crushing. That was the hardest thing for me.
Yes.
That
Yes.
just
That's
I couldn't get it. And then like I said, I slowly there there was kind of a moment um when I had like sort of an emergency session with my therapist, where we would do like a quick 15-minute phone call if I'm kind of having
right.
like a little bit of a like a minor crisis, you
Right.
know. And she said, well, there's pain and there's suffering, you know, you can be in pain, you know, but the more like you you question it or do this or that, like if you keep poking it, that's suffering. We don't
Yeah.
have to have suffering, you know. You can just have the pain and know that it won't be like that forever. It will,
100%.
you know, it's not going to be like that. And
You remind me so much of another guest that said the exact same thing. The
oh
exact same
wow.
thing. And
Wow.
and actually she was blonde. So that's so the stereotype of blondes are smart is bullshit. But my thing is, I think people with mental health issues are incapable of understanding bullshit.
Yeah.
Incapable. Like, why are we doing this? Like, why is there something like in businesses? We have the technology now. You don't have to come into the office. You just don't. So why are you still forcing people to spend all this money on gas and all this kind of stuff, like to get to the office, to do all these kind of things? You don't have to do it. But yet it's this power trip that these companies have of, oh, you have to show up, you know, all of this. That's bullshit. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
My brain can't understand why we can't adapt. And adaptation is, I think, another thing we're extremely good at. We just adapt to
Exactly.
what's going to work the best.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to a point where I stopped. I finally realized, you know, I don't resent these things.
Yeah.
It's not a negative thing. It
No.
can be a amazing thing too, you know, like I can experience the lows and I experience this intensity, but I also experience these highs, you know, and I can, like you said, adapt. And I
And
wouldn't want to go back. I wouldn't want to
oh,
go back. And
thank you, Amanda. Thank you for saying that
like
because that's the whole point of this podcast is to be like, you know what? You experience highs higher than anyone else. You also experience lows lower than everyone else. So, which is why a lot of
mhm,
times you're confused with bipolar when at the root cause it's a failure to regulate your emotion. But to
yeah,
me, that's not a horrible thing because I want people to see the real me. I want people to see me cry at
yeah,
10 a.m. when I watch a video on YouTube that has emotional music in the background, and then
yeah.
I watch it over and over again and cry for 2 hours. I want
Why
people to see that.
can we
Like,
laugh together, but we have to cry alone? You know,
oh,
like
I love crying in front of people. To me, at this point, I'm like, fuck it. This is, you
I
know, what?
get Guy has seen it many times. I have cried at work a multitude of times. And
Right.
then, you know, sometimes I just can't. There have been maybe a handful of times where I just can't and I'm just gonna head out, you know?
Yeah.
And then most of the time I, you know, contain myself and I'm okay and I
Right.
head back and
Yeah.
I'm doing fine again, you know? It's why do we laugh together but we have to cry in private? It's a human response.
Yes, it
We
is.
have
It,
tear ducts for a reason.
yeah. And honestly, Amanda, I will tell you right now that the best qualities that you have are the qualities that we all struggle with something, right? We all struggle with
Yeah.
what we do wrong and all of that. But people that are neurodivergent like us, they're the ones that actually change the world. Look at every CEO, look at every person that is ultra successful, it's because they can't handle bullshit. And they are emotional and they go directly to the point and they don't beat around the bush and they don't have pointless meetings. That's us.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, it's this massive advantage if you can see the positive side to it. But a lot of people are so low because of the fact that they don't know how to build their own bridge and don't reach out for support. My opinion, the cure for this, how to build that bridge, is fucking friendship. Friendship
Mm-hmm.
is what
Yeah.
cures mental disorders, but true friendship.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, what would I have done, like you said, to bridge that gap between being at that lowest low and finding
Right,
DBT and enrolling in these things?
right. You did it, Amanda.
It,
You,
it's
you did it. That's incredible.
yeah, it's like we need I had support. I had support though. Like you were saying, we have to be there for each other. Once I found that and kind of what worked for me, I was able to manage my emotions and stuff so much better. And I still struggle with it, but I managed things. I like just recently, I got married in April, and then just last month, in all within the span of a month, my dog died, my family's cat died,
Oh,
and
Jesus.
my grandmother passed away.
Oh, oh, good. The trifecta. Great.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
Jesus.
And I, I'm just thankful so much, like I said, for DBT and dialectics, and like you said, my support system,
Yeah,
and just in general finding what works for me, because I have
all of
handled
it.
these things better than I would have,
Yeah.
you know.
And your husband
Um,
also. We'll give a shout out to him.
Absolutely, exactly, absolutely. I can't be more thankful for him. I mean, he's everything.
Is he
He's
your
so
best friend?
supportive.
Is he your best friend?
Yeah, yeah.
That's why you're still here.
He's a,
You have a friend
yeah.
to help you build the bridge from knowing what to do to doing it. I have one
Hmm.
last question for you, and this is the hardest question for anyone to answer, is what are you most proud of in your life? Now, here's the thing with this is it cannot be any spouse, kids, anything like that. It has to be a characteristic within you that you are most proud of.
Um, Probably, I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen in the future. Um, but just my, you know, strength and
Resiliency is
yeah,
what.
and like bravery,
Yes, yes, awesome.
to
The last person said that too. I love it. Bravery. I love it.
I mean, it just because I think, like, not just because I want to say bravery, just because not because I've found these things and I've gone through these things and I've done these things, because I think the things that I have learned are things, anyone can learn. And but I think I've been really brave with being uncomfortable in
Okay.
things,
Okay.
and just being the person that doesn't really get embarrassed and doesn't really care
Oh, that's great.
what people are thinking. I'm the one that's not afraid to ask this stranger what, for help or to do this,
Right.
or um
So
not
you're
really afraid to look silly or
right.
whatever, because I feel like, who cares? Like, who
So,
cares? You're not really gonna, people aren't thinking about you as much as you think they are.
correct.
They're
Oh, the ability to see
bad.
that is your superpower, I think, is because all of us think about, oh, they're talking about me, or oh, they're doing this. No, they're not. They have lives of their own, but we dwell on these things so much that, oh, that's a massive advantage, Amanda, a massive advantage to be able to see through that.
I think people don't like judge each other as much as we think they do. And um we don't what was I gonna say? I'm
No,
sorry, I
no,
just
no,
had it.
no, Amanda, it's fine. It's totally okay. Basically, I think what you're saying is we feel things stronger than everyone else. That's in a nutshell. I think momentum basically it is, and I love momentum. Momentum is my favorite thing because if you can recognize one thing good about yourself, then it builds a domino effect in the positive direction instead of the negative direction. And
That's what
that's,
it is.
yeah,
More people can relate more than you realize. More people have, you know, gone through the same things, or have done similar things or felt similar things than you realize. More people can relate than you realize. And I think that's something, like you said, how I just very much recognize, people experience their emotions some at different
right,
levels, and things that, it's just the people with ADHD or BPD, whatever,
right.
people with these uh, spectrum of mental illnesses experience them more often. And we can relate to people, we can relate to other people,
Exactly. And
and we've all felt these things before, even if it's not the exact same experience. you know you can have this experience and get a similar feeling and relation and outcome as this person going through this experience. We all have that wisdom, and we can relate to other people more than other
than anyone
people
than anyone else
realize.
can. Than
And
anyone than
people
anyone
aren't,
else can. Than
yeah,
anyone else
people
can.
aren't judging as much as we
No,
really think they are.
no.
People aren't thinking about,
Uh,
they're wrapped up in their own
right.
world.
Yeah, they're going through their mundane lives while we jump out of planes with skydiving and all of that and have fun and then read your emotion and say, hey, by the way, are you okay? And then it's, well, no one's ever asked me that before. Well, it's because all your neurotypical friends don't ask that question. See, this is the thing. We see the look in their eyes and we're like, are you okay? What can I do? What can I do to help? So at the end of the day, we're the most caring, the most loving, the most intense people in the world. What else do you want written on your fucking tombstone than that? And that's a natural thing that we do. It's, you see someone struggling, you immediately leap to help them. And yes, people are going to say, oh, well, you got to take care of yourself first and all this. I agree with that. But to me, if I'm not leaping to take care of that person, then I can't take care of myself. Like, I want it makes me feel good too. And I don't mean
Yeah,
that as selfish,
they're
but like it's just the way that I feel like my particular brain works.
yeah,
Is unless I'm helping others, I'm not helping myself. So
yeah.
that I don't know, but Amanda, you're just insanely awesome.
Thank you. You are too.
This has been so much fun to speak with you. Like, good Lord, are you smart?
Well, thank you.
This is great. But so take the compliment. It's not awkward. Just take the compliment. I know it's hard for people to do, but one last thing I'll leave you with is every single quality that you have described about yourself throughout this entire episode are ultimately in life the best qualities to have. The things that we do shitty don't mean a goddamn thing.
Mm-hmm.
But what we do well actually matters.